Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 4, the 4th week of the Turfway Park Racing Review. I'm CC Broaddus. I'm joined by my friends Trey Server. Say hello, Trey.
Hello.
We woke up Alan Schneider from a mid-afternoon nap.
And he made me put a shirt on. Shit.
And Geoff Riggs is in a terrible mood, but he won't show it.
That's what I've been told, but I'm happy to be back with you guys. Missed you guys last week.
All right. Why do we do this? We want to help our friends and handicappers try to find horses that may fill out spots in your next exacta, trifecta, pick 3, pick 4, pick 5, whatever. We're looking for great performances, bad trips, and horses to watch going forward. Real quick, let's take a look at our jockey of the week. And our jockey of the week was Luan Machado, although several jockeys had 3 wins during the abbreviated session. They only raced Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Luan Machado won 3 races. We'll name him our jockey of the week. And our trainer of the week, who was in a bit of a lull late in the year, has come back with a vengeance. That's Mike Maker. And he had a big week, and he wound up as the leading trainer for the month of December at Turfway Park. And for the second time, he's our trainer of the week. So congratulations to Luan Machado and Mike Maker. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. We've got 7 races we want to cover. And we're going to go to Trey first. Thursday night, this is race number 8. Trey, let's talk about Haystack and Befriended.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so although we're talking about 2 particular horses in this race, you could make a case for about 6 or 7 of them that had bad trips. In just a moment, you'll see what happens in the stretch. This was a mile allowance race for fillies and mares, non-winners of 2. Like you said, the eventual winner was number 8, Ripasare for Lon Machado and Brendan Walsh. And as you watch the race, number 6, All-American Rose, just guns it. And in this particular race, I actually like this horse a little bit, but not when I see this horse go 22. Number 4, Befriended, as we mentioned, is one of the horses we're going to spotlight here. This was a Brad Cox and Adam Beschitza. And at the top of the stretch takes the lead. And the eventual winner, number 8, makes a bold move on the outside and wipes out the 2-horse Haystack, number 12, Betty Davis, and just takes them all out of contention, basically. Haystack was a horse that I had singled that evening. Was trained by Whit Beckman and was ridden by Gerardo Corrales. And as you see here, coming to the top of the stretch, the 2 horses just dying for somewhere to go. Finally gets a little bit of running room. And like I said, number 8 sweeps them, but then just cuts them all off and takes them out. And there was an objection in this race on the 8 horse that won the race. And then also something that you rarely see, the trainer objected, number 12 objected on the winner as well. So I thought, and I was hoping in the case for CC, because he had the 7 horse who's flying home here, that they would throw this 8 horse out, but they left them up. There was no change. But like you said, the 2-horse Haystack was bottled up the whole time. The 4-horse had a good trip, but couldn't get it done. And number 12, Betty Davis, was taken out when he started to get his run. So this race is full of trips and bad trips, good trips, no trips at all. So just something to keep an eye on going forward.
Yeah, number 8, Ripasare. Looks like a filly's got a little bit of future. She's by Vino Rosso, but her dam is Granny Max Kitten. She was a nice stakes filly for the Ramseys back a few years ago. But Befriended was a filly I thought was really impressive here. She chased I thought a faster than par pace on a going the flat mile. She chased a kind of a tearaway leader, and
Yes.
she hung on for 4th. She didn't stop, and that was her first race since Oaks Day, I believe, on that sloppy track, and something went amiss, and she's been off a long time. So Befriended is a filly I think is the one to follow coming out of this race in her next start. And last winter she was 2 for 3 at Turfway on the all weather. So Befriended for me is a filly I like going forward. All right, let's take a quick break in the action, and let's hear a word from our friends at twinspires.com. We'll be right back.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With Twin Spires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires. And now you can race to victory with Twin Spires tournaments.
Friday. Let's go to Friday, December 27th, race number 2. Geoff Riggs wants to talk about Neon Bordeaux.
Yes, sir. Going to race 2 on Friday. And, as we've talked on this show before, we don't just look at the stakes races and the high level allowance races, because you can make money on these lower level as well. As a 50K maiden claimer at a mile. And Neon Bordeaux is the 6 in here. As we look at the gate break, I mean, breaks just a half a step slow, not too bad, pretty much with the pack in the purple cap there. Asked for a little bit of run going into the first turn. And then the 7-horse comes over and totally cuts him off. I mean, Gavin Ashton was pretty lucky to stay aboard there, honestly, and lost quite a bit of ground. Had to refine the stride, mid-pack, and just definitely will throw you off your game when something like that happens. And the 7 actually ended up getting disqualified for that move into the first turn. So it was definitely substantial. We get pretty good position going down the back stretch, and this was also this horse's first time over the surface as well. So there was a little bit of uncertainty about how they would handle it, but I thought took to the surface pretty well, is traveling pretty comfortably through most of the race. And I don't necessarily think that this horse was going to win this race, but does start making a little bit of a run into the second turn here, um, mostly up the rail, but tips a little bit off. So it looks like Gavin thinks he has some horse here going into the turn, and makes a pretty good run here moving into the stretch. But as you'll see here in a few minutes, or not a few minutes, but a few seconds, that we try to make a run behind horses, but just get caught once again, totally cut off as starting to find the best stride here. So, I mean, there were 2 different times in this race where all of the momentum was taken away. And in these maiden claiming races, it's very, very difficult for a horse to overcome something like that. So I think this is one that, coming back at this same level, will probably get a good price on once again. Um, and then, we've talked about this before, CC, but we like to go back and look at the charts of these races and see if sometimes this trouble isn't picked up. Obviously, the trouble into the first turn was in the chart, given the disqualification, but the stretch trouble, there was really no mention of that whatsoever. And that was only a 3rd career start for this one and first over the surface. So I think one to watch coming back at the same level next time.
Yeah, by no means a stakes horse, but something that could hit hard at this level going forward.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to race number 4. Alan has picked up, Derby Will has picked up Kendall Grace in race 4. Let's talk about this mare.
I'm serious. That is put on the $1.75 readers. All right, let's talk about Kendall Grace. We're gonna go back to Friday. All right, and to be fair, as I mentioned last week, keeping an eye on horses to watch, not necessarily about bad trips all the time or traffic or bad starts. Sometimes it's just circumstantial spotting. And that's why I chose long shot Kendall Grace right here. Now, this is a non-winners of 3 lifetime $30,000 claiming race. And to be fair, Kendall Grace got a really good trip. If you'll watch over here, the leader clears off. That's a horse called Birdie Rose from the outside. Sets very moderate fractions, clears off very easily, very nicely. And in all honesty, was by far and away the best horse in this race. But Kendall Grace settles in, I want to say 4th here. Yeah, she's the number 9 horse. And this is a sprinter attempting the 2-turn mile off the bench. It's kind of an odd spot for the horse, but off of a brief freshening, maybe that's what the connections had in mind. And on this day early in the card, Speed was holding very well. Kendall Grace assumes her position along the inside. And as Birdie Rose is starting to make her move for home and is gone, Kendall Grace makes a sneaky good move on the inside, passes a couple of horses, is threatening, right up, you'll see it here shortly, but she's threatening to get a board finish here. I'm thinking maybe 2nd or 3rd is in her wheelhouse. But as most sprinters do when they stretch out at 2 turns, go a little further ground, they have a tendency to flatten out. And then final furlong, despite that nice little move she made up the inside, she does flatten out ever so slowly. And that final furlong kind of dulls her a little bit. She gets caught for 3rd and runs 4th. What I'm looking for this horse is on the turn back. If I think that they're setting her up for a turn back at this level, and if she comes back at the 30,000 non-winners of 3 level, I think 2 things, right? She sets up, if there's a legit pace, she may be able to make that little move you saw on the turn and make it count at 5.5, 6 furlongs. And number 2, she ran on the inside. That's what this horse did in the fall at Turfway. She was able to run up the inside and went bag a nice allowance victory. She does it again here. It's always good when you can see a horse run inside of horses. You factor those 2 things together. If she comes back at the same level, maybe, just maybe, if there's enough of a pace to run at, Kendall Grace might shoot home at a nice price.
Going back to Jeff's horse, Neon Bordeaux, the horse was claimed by Ethan West for 10 Strike Racing and 4 Corners and Corey Molis Racing. So new connections for Neon Bordeaux.
Sharp claiming outfit as well. 10 Strike does a really good job, as does Ethan.
Right. And he was on our podcast, Auxiliary Gate, a few weeks ago. Check that out. Okay. Moving right along now, we're going to go to race 7 later that evening. We're still on Friday, and Geoff wants to talk about Lock It Up.
Yeah, it's another one of my patented maiden claimer, CC. This one's maiden 30 at 6 furlongs, and Lock It Up's the 4 horse in here. And I also want to talk about Hold My Halo, who's the 7. So the break is very important here, as both do not have the best of breaks. I will say that the 4 Lock It Up has been known to not break well, but they added the blinkers and still broke a little slowly, but a little better than we've seen before. So I think that was definitely helpful. The 7 Hold My Halo was kind of broke very, very slowly, went all the way back to last, got squeezed a little bit at the beginning, but as we move into the backstretch and around the turn, you can see on the outside there, the 4 Lock It Up is making a really big middle move, which you really don't see sustained at this level. I know the pace was pretty quick, but as Alan alluded to earlier, speed was holding pretty well, especially early in the card on Friday. So I thought this big sweeping move from the 4 was very impressive, the way that Lock It Up was able to go wide and just sustain the bid the whole way. I mean, even at the top of the lane, it looks like Lock It Up's probably, it's like, oh, that's a pretty good race, but it's probably going to hit the wall here and not be able to get it done, as the 11, Marcella is pretty much gone, it looks like, on the lead. But then Lock It Up just keeps grinding away, and then here we go, takes off like a rocket ship, blows by this group, and on the gallop out just continues extending that stride, which is what really excited me about Lock It Up there. I mean, I think way ahead on the gallop out, definitely dangerous, even moving up in class. I think this is one that's a little sneaky, has shown some talent already before. We may have figured out the gate break issues with the blinkers, might get even better next time. I just think there's some untapped potential here for sure. And Hold My Halo, we were talking about the slow start as well, and also had some more trouble in the stretch too. And that was just a little nod to that one too, where on the chart, once again, the the trouble at the start is listed, but not the trouble in the stretch. So I think Hold My Halo we look at the same level coming back next time. I think we can get some value there, at least use underneath, and then Lock It Up. I'm just excited about moving forward. I don't know. We could go into a starter. We could move up in class. We could do. There are a lot of options for Lock It Up moving forward.
Yeah, I was told last summer that Hold My Halo was a runner, and she never did pan out. And I think a lot of it is between her ears. If you watched a lot of her races, well, she's only run maybe what now 4 times, 5 times. She breaks slow every single time. If they could cure that, she might be a nice runner at that level. So curious to see what happens with her going forward. Let's go now to Saturday, race number 4. And I want to talk about number 5, Prince of Power. And Prince of Power was in good form coming into this race. This is an allowance, basically an A other than, non-winners of 1 other than maiden claiming or starter. And this is going a 1-turn mile, or excuse me, a 2-turn mile, once around the track at Turfway. You'll see number 5, Prince of Power, breaks about a length slow, and then he has to rush up. Luckily, the hole opened for him early, and Prince of Power just rushes up and takes the lead. And I think this leads to his undoing. Saturday, I'm not going to say there was an anti-speed bias, but I don't think anything won on the lead, especially going 2 turns on Saturday. So here we are. Prince of Power goes opening quarter in 23 3/5 seconds. And he's doing well. Looks like this is just the second time he'd ever raced on synthetic at Turfway. And he's bowling along here. I thought this was a decent effort, nothing flashy. He gets to the top of the stretch, and he still leads. He's got a proven speed horse to his outside in Bourbon Boss, and then on the far outside, Overstatement comes to challenge him. He's pretty much done here at the quarter pole, but as they turn for home, he still continues on. Like I said, first trip over the synthetic, and he's a little bit late switching leads there. He does switch leads, but he has nothing left, and then the outsiders just bowl over top of him, and his race is over. But he does hang on for 5th. So maybe on a track that's a little more kinder to speed, I think this horse will be all right next time. And now with the loss on his resume, maybe we get a price on him next time out. That's Prince of Power for Jesus Esquivel and Santos Sanger. Pretty good under the radar connections, I thought. Okay, moving right along. Now we're going to go 3 races later. This is the 2-year-old allowance race that Alan wants to talk about. One of his favorite dishes, California burritos.
Very good. I do think that's a wonderful name on this horse, right? Yeah, it is California Burrito, and California Burrito is piloted by the young Irving Moncada, who rides for the always dangerous Tommy Drury, right? And this is a 1-level allowance optional claimer they ran on Saturday, I believe, the 7th race. And we'll take a look here. And California Burrito ends up going off favorite. Very evenly matched field, right? A lot of really nice up-and-coming horses or whatever. But as we hit the first turn, Irving he's not in the worst spot at all. He's maybe in 5th or 6th. He's kind of bracketed a little bit. And unfortunately for him, the eventual winner is on his outside, a horse called Banks. And Banks, again, by far and away the best horse in the race. Problem for him is Banks keeps him pinned, and as Banks starts to make his winning move under Adam Beschizza, after kind of being pinned by Banks, this is when Irving Moncada, you'll see here momentarily, once Banks goes by, this is when Irving thinks he can make his move to the outside. He's already forfeited first run to Banks. Problem is the number 8 horse, a long shot for Yarmarie Correa, is starting to fade a little bit, just as your eventual second place finisher, a horse called, I believe it's Life is Hard, with the Gerardo Corrales up, begins to make his move on the outside just as Yarmarie Correa is backing up, and that forces Irving to stall, to kind of go into neutral for a few strides as these other horses get their first run. As we hit the top of the stretch, eventually Irving, the game's already over, but Irving is eventually able to get around Yarmarie Correa's horse and make a nice little move, nice little turn of foot down the stretch, kind of mini explodes to make a run at the money. The horse does get passed for 3rd by a horse had a better trip on the outside. but perhaps going forward, California Burrito, who gets a more forward trip, a cleaner trip, uh, they'll knock out that 1X victory. This horse has a little bit of talent, just had a bit of bad luck, and maybe we'll see what Tommy Drury can do with this horse going forward.
I'll ask Geoff. I'll put him on the spot. California Burrito was second in that allowance race at Churchill. To Magnitude, a Steve Asmussen horse. Didn't Magnitude run second in the gun runner? Was that right, or third? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I think ran well.
I will say this. In his career debut, California Burrito was 6x20 to Magnitude, who broke his main at Ellis. He comes back in an allowance race. I think it was an allowance race at Churchill. Magnitude still gets the best of California Burrito, but by this time, in only his third start, California Burrito has made up 19 lengths on Magnitude. He was beaten a very tough length by Magnitude. So this horse is rapidly improving. Again, had a bit of a rough trip. I do not think the horse was best in the race, but I do think there are wins in this horse's future. So this is a rapidly improving horse. Tommy Drury wins more than his share at Turfway Park, and I think we can expect a better effort next time.
And there's always the case he just may be better on dirt too, though.
That's possible, but I did like the turn of foot he showed once he got clear. But again, I think the winner, you should never, just because your horse has trouble, you should never overlook the performances of the horse at the top. And Banks is by far away the best horse in there, and that's a horse coming out of restricted maiden races who put away a nice field. So Banks is the horse to watch out there. California Burrito maybe a little more under the radar type.
Okay, one more race to cover. Let's go to the finale. Trey has a couple in here we need to talk about. Let's go, Trey.
Yeah, so number 9, Dragon Drew, and number 10, Ribs on a Roll. Those were two horses went head-to-head previously. They went 1-2 in that race. They were both co-favorite in this race, and this was the last leg of the single six pick six, which ultimately got hit for $766,000. So congratulations to whoever had that one. But in this particular race, it was a $5,000 claim. We're going 6 furlongs, and these two horses just went head to head, toe to toe the entire way, 21, 44, and 57. And at 6 furlongs, they were toast. They set it up for closers. The one horse took the lead in the mid stretch, and that horse was paying $1.1 million for the pick six, and ultimately gets run down by number 8. So 2 long shots go 1-2 in that race. But the 9 and the 10 ultimately, if they hadn't gone head to head and kamikazed it for whatever reason, I think they are the best 2 horses out of this race. And next time I would definitely consider them. It is something to note that Kelly Martinez did claim number 8 and number 10 out of this race. So Ravelli is no longer going to be on 10. So you might get a better price because not many people are going to say, who's Kelly Martinez kind of thing. So something to look forward to in the future. And congratulations to whoever had that massive hit.
Yeah, re-racking here to the top of the stretch. Dragon Drew. I wonder if this horse bounced. He's kind of in a pattern where he runs a good fig, then he bounces, then he runs another good fig, then he bounces. He was coming off a good effort at Turfway opening week, and there you see he has to check a little bit. I don't know if he drifted out or the inside or the outside horse drifted in, but I mean his race was essentially over there after the check. And he's a 9-year-old, so he probably can't keep firing shot after shot. He probably needs to cycle back up to his efforts. So Dragon Drew may be a horse to watch next time. I also just pose the question, if this race were run opening weekend again, don't you think maybe that 21-44, the 2 on the lead would probably stick? Because the track was a little bit quicker opening weekend and in the second weekend, or no?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
In that race in particular, I thought it was a little odd that Burgos, who's I think is a very underrated rider, decided to go to the lead, and I thought he was sent off of Larry Ravelli's horse, who was not proven at 6 furlongs. The fact that they went so toe to toe on the inside horse, I thought was interesting. I kind of think another horse to watch out of that race is the eventual runner-up Buzzer, who went off at an insane 31-1 in that race. and got taken out of his game and got caught coming from behind horses. He's a speed horse with a little route in him and stuff. So, he was not able to get to the front, but he still managed, even though that's not his style, to make a nice effort. So Buzzer, again, 30-1 was insane. At the same time, with a more favorable pace scenario, Buzzer is one to keep an eye on that in that race as well, too, I would say.
Buzzer had some nice thoroughbred figs on dirt at Belterra. And I actually did use that horse in my pick 5, which got blown out of the water in the first race. But yeah, and he's maybe get off the rail. Next time he broke from the rail, that's not necessarily the place to be sprinting at Turfway. But
I might have come up with a better name for a racehorse too than Buzzer. I don't think
that
sounds like great, but he has won a lot of races. So, but
Speaking of names, do they have to change the name of Rivs on a Roll? Now it's no longer with Rivelli. It's kind of like when Pardue Grant's got claim from Grant Forrester. Just, didn't really hit the same.
Kel's on a roll. Mark's
Kelly's on a roll.
Yeah,
Kelly's on a roll. There you go.
All right, guys, that concludes the action. We do want to say we've finally got some horses coming back that we've reviewed on past shows. They're coming back this week. 3 on the Tree runs a jibe runs, I think, Saturday, and then on Wednesday in the Goel Stakes, Less is Best. A maiden is going to challenge stakes horses for Eric Foster. I think Luan Machado is riding 20-1 on the morning line in a 7-8 horse field. So keep an eye out for Less is Best. I think that's an interesting entry there on the turn back. So if they go ding dong again, she may come rolling late. So interesting, something to root for this week. Okay, anything else you guys want to add, or we'll sign off?
I just have one question too.
Sure.
Well, have you guys found out any like angles or anything like that they say, hey, this horse or that horse or this trainer bring in their A, B, C, whatever? Because I have not been able to pinpoint anything that's like, okay, this horse is going to win.
There's trainers that are under the radar that win at Turfway and stuff that people don't give enough credit to and stuff. And like off the top of my head, Richard Estevanco is one. Now that this holiday meet's over, you might see a little more of the bread and butter trainers win a little more than they have. That's a name that comes to mind. Of course, Eric Foster always comes to mind, right? It's a little surprising Wesley Ward did not really point to this meet the way he has in the past. He may only have 1 or 2 wins so far. I find that interesting, but help me out, guys. I'm trying to think of some off the spot.
Dougie Cowens is one that's kind of been he's not been as prolific as he has been. I know 2 years ago he won like 9 of his first 12 starts.
Well, it's hard to keep up with that, But
yeah, but I mean, I think he's like 0 for 11 so far this meet. Maybe keep an eye on him.
He ran second in the maiden race in the 5th race there. They hit a nice effort from that the half to Olazabal ran a really nice second there. So, and he had a nice effort from under the beds. We may see under the bed for that horse for Cowens. He'll bag a couple wins at Turfway this meet.
Mike Maker's come back with a vengeance. I think he's been cold the last 2 winners, but he's turned it around. He's had some winners so far. I think he's won 7 races in December. So
speaking of buzzer, Sergio Baez is a very high percentage, low profile trainer that wins at a high number and stuff. You'll see Sergio Baez win a bunch of when he doesn't spot that many, but when he spots them, I'd say you always watch out for him as well too.
How about favorites? Are they hitting at a high percentage? I know they had the 1 to 2 shot the other day that was gave money away basically.
Yeah, that was a good time to go against that horse or whatever. But I don't know. There was a lot of really well-bred horses in that race getting off 20-1 and stuff. So
that filly, you're talking about Sea Vista?
Yes, that race.
That Sea Vista 2nd place finish at Churchill is starting to become suspect, I think, because I've seen 2 horses come out of that race and not run well. One of them was Restless Renegade today at Oaklawn. She finished dead last. Now she did have a trouble trip, and I think maybe I don't know. Oaklawn had a lot of 2-year-old racing today. There was a Colebrook filly, Nick's Glory. I think she didn't run all that well. She was beating a ton. She may actually got up for 3rd. That's two fillies that came out of that Sea Vista race. That's so maybe she's overrated, but her figs were fast coming in that race. So I'm going to chalk it up to not handling the surface. So we may see her at the Oaklawn or Fairgrounds next time.
Sounds fair. That sounds fair.
Turfway, but they may try her on the dirt. But again, at a low price, I don't know if I would trust her.
There were too many really nicely bred horses from Big Connections that race to take 1 or 2 on that horse. But she did get a good break. I mean, she really had no excuse. That horse that won the race was breaking on her outside, and she was going really easy on outside of her. So,
all right, let's all go to bed. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for everybody that watches. And like I said, catch some of these horses running this week. Maybe you could fade us, or maybe you could join in. I'm definitely going to bet less is best, but I've been wrong a lot in the past. Anyway, that's all I got. On behalf of Trey Server, Alan Schneider, Geoff Riggs, I'm CC Broaddus, reminding you that gambling money ain't got no home.